Welcome back to another episode of One Tough Day. Good morning and welcome back to another episode of One Tough Day. I'm Steve Van Horn, your host, and this is the podcast where we talk about the one tough day that usually was intermingled with a lot of really great days either before or after it. So very excited today for our guest. I have the pleasure of interviewing someone I've known for, and man, I'm reluctant to say this because it makes us sound old, but almost 30 years I've known you now, Bryan. And neither one of us were quite as successful then as we are today, but I think a lot of what happened over those first 5 or 6, 7 years we knew each other probably helped to get us both where we are today. And I am very excited to discuss some of those things with you. So we're going to start at the top because I feel like this is the juicy part that'll hook people early. One of the first employees at a little energy drink company called Celsius many years ago. So why don't we start there and you tell us a little bit about what that journey was like within Celsius?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for making me feel old too, by the way.
I know.
That's
sorry.
awesome.
I smack you down right at the start and then I'll build you up the rest of the show. I
thought
promise.
this was going to be a happy podcast, but he came in hot.
We do have a little more gray in our beard.
Yes, we do.
Last time
and
we
less
talked.
hair. It's a struggle. It's a struggle every day.
Hey, we're here and we feel good,
Yes,
man.
exactly. Yeah, God is great. So, one of 20 people at Celsius, little energy drink now, right? That
2.5 billion in revenues,
yes,
you said,
sir.
something like
yes,
that?
Sir. Yeah, annually in sales. And started there, one of 20 people, and came in and saw something with Celsius, knew that they had a great formula. They were scientifically backed ingredients. And I knew that I could come in, make a couple changes, make a sales force in the fitness, vitamin specialty channel. It's a fitness wellness drink. And then I knew that we could scale this thing. So I was actually laughed at. We were talking earlier before we joined, but I was laughed at by my previous employees that was super corporate for me leaving and going to this no-name brand called Celsius.
Yeah.
So pretty funny now. It's like, when I tell that story, they're like, "Oh, joke's on them," right? So
Yeah, you got the last laugh.
Yeah, right.
I'd say you won.
But I do remember the early stages of Celsius. Nobody would bring us in. We were knocking on the doors of all these retailers. I was literally here locally, my hometown, trying to sell in the product. And they're like, I don't know, this isn't going to sell. This isn't going to work. Yeah. And then here we are today, $2.5 billion later as annual revenue. So pretty cool.
Well, and I think that's a good point, Bryan, because a lot of people probably think like, I'll just cook up some magic brew in my kitchen, go hit some local retailers. They'll start putting it on the shelves and boom, we'll build the next major company. But what they might not realize is what I know as a businessman, and you're experiencing it now with the new brand, which we're going to get into. So I'm excited to talk about that. Is there's thousands of companies that don't make it in the beverage industry, in the foods industry, anything, right? So trying to break through that wall of like ambiguity and nobody knowing who you are and trusting that your brand's not only going to be a quality product, but it's also manufactured safely, it's clean, it's not going to put anybody at risk. Like this is not an easy thing to take a brand like Celsius from 20 coworkers to $2.5 billion in annual revenues, right? So talk a little bit about what that struggle was like early on.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of what I was saying earlier about, there's so many different things of the business, but starting off and just beating on the doors of everyone and trying to, explain what the product does and its functionality and the scientifically proven ingredients and all that is a grind. And then hiring a team of people to do that same thing is also a challenge.
That can communicate as passionately as you do as one of the early adopters.
And that's one of the biggest things that when I would always hire on, passion. So if I found somebody that was very passionate about themselves or about the brand, as we got rolling more and more people got passionate about it, right? But even like athletes that we were signing or endorsing, I would always try to find passion in them. And I knew that if we could find the passion, I could teach you everything else.
Right.
Right. So it wasn't rocket science, but the passion was the hardest part. So once you found that, but to your point about brands, yes, there's a million brands that come to the market every year and they fail miserably. Right. Because it's expensive. It's a lot of grinding, hard work. It takes a lot of money. People think that it's just going to be like a couple bucks that we throw together to make a drink, and
having a great product isn't enough, quite frankly, right?
Yeah,
you can have the best product, but if you
yeah.
can't market it, get it to market, beat down enough doors, have enough connections, which we'll talk about that at some point, how important those are, then that product might get shelved and never see the light of day again.
And taste. A lot of people get a great ingredient profile, and then they forget about taste.
Taste is everything, right?
Of course.
Nobody wants to chug down something that tastes awful.
If it doesn't taste good, people aren't going to come back and try it again.
That's so true. So I'm gonna change it up and do something I've never done before on this podcast, because you started taking me down the road of your one tough day. And I feel like typically we hit that somewhere around like the 40-minute part, and then we kind of start bringing the plane in for landing. But I feel like in your story, it's such an important part to get that out on the table early because it's so crucial, and it was like fundamental to building the rest of the story. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course.
So let's start today with the tough day, the earliest we've ever got this out of the way. So the producer G's probably very excited right now. Like, great, we're not going to be rushing through this at the end.
Good.
But for people that don't know, you and I grew up together in Dover, Ohio. 10,000 people, small town. Everybody knows everybody, right? If you stay out too late, your parents are definitely going to find out about it by tomorrow, right? And we both probably experienced plenty of that back in the. I remember quite a few days with you and your blue Blazer, me and my red Civic up on Dice Hill, hanging out. So, but you took a risk in a time where it was a little different than it is today. Obviously, me and the trades, a lot of people are more open to taking different career paths and not necessarily having to go to college to be successful. But back when we were in school, the most common narrative was you got to go to college, you got to get a 4-year degree minimum to be successful and do anything in the world, right? And that was ingrained in you as well, but you took a little bit different path, and we'll start the story there.
Yeah. So I did go to college because we were told, as you mentioned,
got to,
you don't want to be a loser, right? Either go to college or you're going to be a loser. I'm like, well, I don't want to be a loser, so let's go to college.
Yeah, you're going to have to work really hard and be dirty all the time.
Right. So I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I knew that it involved something with business. I knew that, business was always intriguing to me. I wanted to figure it out. So I did a couple years of business at Kent State and checked the boxes, right? I checked the dean's list. I checked all the boxes. And I started taking all these classes that didn't make any sense. And I'm like, why am I taking these random classes? And I'm spending all this money taking all these classes that is not even going to really apply to any business that I get involved with, right? Like, I just want to run or manage some sort of business. So it was really business management was what I was after. I started taking all these random classes, and I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. In the midst of all that, I was one of the general managers of a local fitness center here. So I really was intrigued and passionate about health and wellness, really since football days that we played. Yeah. We started lifting, I think, when we were 14 years old. And since then, I just was always really intrigued by lifting, working out, and like how the body kind of functions and how you can grow and, develop. And so I, basically took, that GM role, and I was like, I can't be a GM of a fitness center forever, right? So I started selling.
You could.
You could, but like in my mind, I was always wired to the way.
A little more ambitious.
Yeah, I was always wired that I never could settle, right? I always wanted to do more. I always wanted to go to the next level, right? Always.
Very common theme amongst successful entrepreneurs, by the way.
Yeah. So I never wanted to settle. And so I got an opportunity that actually the sports nutrition brand that we sold at the gym was called BSN. And I was really intrigued by this brand. And I got an opportunity to get a job interview from them. They're based out of Boca Raton, Florida. Never been to Boca Raton, Florida in my life. And they had contacted me.
It's just like Dover.
Right, yeah.
It's a little closer, a little more humid.
A little more retirees there. But so.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
we have a pretty large
might have them beat. But I was like, hey, I got this job opportunity. Let's go check it out. This is a brand I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about health and wellness, and sports nutrition is up and coming. At the time, they had just launched a brand new pre-workout powder called NO Explode, which most people would know in the gym setting. And so I went down there, and I was 22 years old. I never had been on an airplane. I've never rented a car. I did all that. I rented a car, flew in, and stayed at this hotel that my wife and I joke all the time. Like, I would never stay there in my life. Like, it was in the worst area of Deerfield Beach. Very bad neck of the woods.
Did you know it was bad at the time?
No. I thought it was awesome because it had a pool, and I was like out there with my laptop. I thought I was living like a king.
Yeah.
But
funny how those optics change over time, right?
Yeah, it was wild. I'm so shocked nothing happened to me, But I did an interview. I got hired on the spot, and then they wanted me to start 15 days later. And I was like, man, how am I gonna go back to Ohio, load up all my stuff, and be down here in 15 days? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure my family and friends were like, oh, he's going to go do this job interview, and he's probably not going to do anything. It's just going to be a fun experience for him, and he's going to come back and figure out what he wants to do with his career. And I came back, and I shocked everyone, and I was like, hey, I got the job. They want me to start in 15 days, and it's a direct sales position. So I literally loaded up my pickup truck, I threw my motorcycle in the back, an air mattress, a microwave, and some clothes, and I pieced out to South Florida. But I quickly realized that it's very expensive to live in South Florida versus Ohio. Yeah. And the position I got was only a commission-based role, basically. It was a very small salary, but mainly commission-based. So you had to build, much like an insurance agency, you have to build your clientele base in order to get the recurring. So I quickly learned that I was running out of money quick. And I lived on an air mattress for a year. Thank God I worked for a sports nutrition company because I was eating protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So you got free protein that kept you alive for a year?
Luckily I got free protein and continued to make it work. But there were you talk about one tough day. There were many times I can remember that I was just down the dumps and calling my mom and really just being in tears, saying, hey, like, I don't know if this is going to work. I love what I'm doing. I'm very passionate about it, but I'm out of money. I can't even afford to come back to Dover, Ohio.
I love that part of the story.
Yeah,
like,
if
I wanted to quit, it's not an option. I can't afford to take the escape
I can't
route.
do it. And I either need to quit what I'm doing now and find something else in South Florida where I know no one, right? I didn't know anybody there. And I have to give a shout out to Anthony Preciano. That's the guy who actually hired me and let me sleep in his lobby area of his townhouse on my air mattress, literally in his lobby, or his foyer area of his townhouse. My little microwave and my air mattress. That was my bedroom. And I have to give him a shout out because he took a chance on me, and he let me kind of stay with him for a couple months till I got up on my feet. And without him, this wouldn't have happened. I don't know what would happen.
Yeah.
I would have been probably homeless in South Florida. I don't know, but I made it happen. I got to give a shout out to my mom. She told me there was a reason why you went there. There's a reason, everything happens for a reason. Stay the course and, believe in yourself, believe in God, and, good things will come. And that's what I did. I kept doing that, kept grinding, kept working it up, and then kept working up that business, and then learning everything I could at BSN. I became a sponge. I wanted to be a sponge on every asset of the business. I knew that we were crushing it in sales. NO Explode, the pre-workout was doing well. The protein powders were doing well. All these things were just firing on all cylinders. And I'm like, I want to learn how to do all this stuff. I want to learn how we warehouse, how we do everything, right? I want to learn it all. Key accounts, the distribution angle, the marketing, the product launches, how we formulate everything. So I was one of the guinea pigs for a lot of the formulations that we did at the company, which was cool too.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's actually where I met my wife, Danielle, later on, is that one of the formulations we did was a fat burning pill that was supposed to make you feel really good.
Like a stacker type pill?
Yeah, and the initial beta testings was one of the times that I first met her, and it was early beta, and it went the wrong way. So kudos to her for staying with me through those crazy times.
Who was the one that beta tested it? You or her?
No, me.
You did?
Yeah, I'm the tester.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I tested it, and it was kind of an odd reaction, and that was my first meeting of her. And it turns out she's my wife.
Can I ask what the reaction was? Were you sweating profusely, or?
Yeah, no, it was like a throw up.
Oh gosh.
Super when you drink too much, kind of room spinning, throwing up, sick, hugging the porcelain type of thing. So that was
And she still came back for more.
That was a rough experience. Yeah.
You're like, well, listen, you've only seen me at my worst. Yes. It's only going to get better from here.
And by the way, I didn't have anything, right? So it's not like I had a flashy car or any kind of business to.
You had a nice air mattress and a motorcycle you hauled down there in the truck.
Yeah. So that was kind of the gist of it. But
well, that's awesome, man. I love stories like this. Literally, there was one part where I'm getting chills because you hit on something that's pretty important to me. You think about the difference between someone like you, Bryan, who maybe went to Florida, and why did you end up where you're at today versus the people who maybe went to Florida with a similar dream, or all the people that go out to Hollywood with aspirations of being an actor or actress, right, that end up living on the streets. I think it's all part of a bigger plan. You wear the big cross around your neck, so I know you share that belief with me, but I think God had a plan for you, man. He put you in the arms of a company who had a place for you to sleep, and he knew that with your personality type, which I think it's probably similar to mine, he needed to put some hard times on you to impress some pretty serious lessons in your life and give you appreciation later. And that's why you are where you are today, and all that helped to prepare you for that next step.
For sure.
So let's go there. So, you're killing it with that company, obviously worked your way up, became a pretty desirable asset. I'm sure they weren't happy to lose you. And then you take this gamble on this company nobody knows called Celsius.
Right.
So let's pick the story up there.
Yeah. So we'll back up one step. So at BSN, we got purchased by a company called Glambia Performance Nutrition. Major company.
Huge company, right?
Massive company. Really corporate structure. So you go from an entrepreneurship kind of environment where everyone does kind of everything. So I kind of learned how to be, and I use this term a lot, human Swiss Army knife. I feel like a lot of my passion and my career set is built on being a human Swiss Army knife. So in other words, don't just do what's in your little box.
Yeah, be dynamic.
Right. So another phrase I use a lot is success happens outside the box. So get out of your comfort zone, get out of your box, right? Learn other things because that's just going to help you further.
There's a phrase in business that strikes a chord with me. I'm sure it hits you too. Like it's like hits me right in the heart when someone says that's not my job,
Right.
or that wasn't my job.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing drives
Gotta
me
be.
more crazy.
Right.
I'm like, well, if you were the only one there and you had the ability to do it and you chose not to because it's not in your job description,
That's bad.
I just learned everything I need to know about you.
That basically just said that they don't want to ever be promoted.
Right.
So
Right.
that's an
Almost
easy way.
every promotion is a product of you doing something before you were asked to do
Yeah.
it, in my opinion. Right. Like every leader informally was a leader before they ever got the formal title, in my opinion. Right.
Right. Well, it goes back to hiring on passion. If that person was very passionate about their role or their business, they would find a way to make it work.
Right.
Not telling an excuse saying, yeah, that's not my job.
Yeah. Or exhaust not every task is accomplishable or possible, but you don't admit that until you've exhausted every possibility. Right. So when they come back like, well, I tried that one thing and it didn't work. You're like, did you try the other 42 things?
Exactly. That's one of my things also is I always think wild and crazy in business, in life, whatever. Throw anything at the wall, see if it sticks. Be different. Right?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't stick, that's fine. Learn from it. Figure it out. Throw it back at the wall. Don't
Right.
just be done with it. Throw it back at the wall, see if it sticks. If it sticks this time, cool. If not, do the same process. Keep
Beautiful.
doing it. Keep doing it.
And it's so common when we talk to other business leaders that have been on the podcast or, just me traveling as have you, like these are common themes. This is the way business leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries approach the business. And you have to have like some guiding ethics to that approach. Like when you say throw anything at the wall, like is anybody going to get hurt by throwing that at the wall? No. Right? Like, are we breaking any laws? Are we doing, like, as long as it fits within that box of like, no, everybody's good.
Yeah.
It's aggressive. It's maybe a little bit dangerous financially, but that's only going to hurt me. Like, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
Worst thing we could do is lose some money, maybe a little bit of time. Right.
Yeah. But it should be fun.
Yeah.
Right. That's it's a big factor as well. So passion and fun. If you're not having fun, what you're doing about being passionate, you probably aren't that passionate about it. So
Good point.
Think about that. So that's a big one. So throwing crazy ideas at the wall should be fun. It should be like, hey, we got this crazy idea, man. Like, you're gonna be like, no way. And then you throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. And it's like, oh, you know what? That was pretty cool. What if we did it this way?
Right.
So fine tune it. So anyway, I wanted to back up quickly to say that story that at BSN, I kind of learned to be the human Swiss Army knife in that fashion that applied me kind of the rest of my career. But we got purchased in 2012 by Glambia. So I got kind of rolled up into the corporate structure of Glambia. Mm-hmm. And I quickly learned that I'm not the best with corporate USA. So that was a big thing for me.
You like building things to corporate USA and then saying, all right,
I'm like, so that
find
was
some small roots.
Yes,
company.
that was kind of my mindset. And I love that human Swiss Army knife kind of mentality, right? Like figure it out. You got to figure it out. There's a challenge in front of us. How are we going to win? How are we going to figure it out?
Yeah. And the reality is, I mean, if you think about it, the reason why you probably don't like that corporate structure is because the second that happens, there's so many constraints and limitations to allowing yourself to be a human Swiss Army knife. You might have the idea, but, we got to run that up the flagpole. It's got to get approved by this and this and this. It's got to fit in the budget. And then by the time it's been beat like a dead horse, it never happens. Or you get exhausted in the process. You're like, oh, for the love of God,
So
give up.
two things with that. One is I talk about being outside the box. In the corporate USA structure, in my opinion, you're in a box.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can't, I couldn't move. You're in this box. Right?
And by the way, that's justifiable because when you're trying to manage these multi-billion-dollar organizations, there's not really a lot of room outside the box because when you have thousands and thousands of workers, it's hard to say like, all right, everything's operating in the gray. There's got to be black and white. So when we say that, like it's easy for you and I to be like these free spirits and say like, we don't like that. But I do get it.
But
I get it because there has to be rules or you lose control.
Structure, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
It's just not as fun.
For me, that was my second point. When you have a tight box like that, you strip out the fun.
Right.
So maybe it's fun for some people. For me, it wasn't. So I was like,
yeah, the accountants love it.
Right.
Those type of people love it, right?
Exactly. But for me, it wasn't. So we got bought out, and then I got morphed into this corporate structure, and then I managed BSN, obviously, and then I managed Optimum Nutrition. Then we acquired Isopure, which is Nature's Best, and then we had a brand called ABB, which is American Bodybuilding. So I had all four of those brands within the fitness channel of North America. That was my sector. And then we had a lot of people underneath me that were field reps and things of that nature that went out and sold. And then that kind of rolled up into me, and I came up with strategy and launched strategies and all that. And then I obviously quickly learned that corporate USA wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I got this opportunity at Celsius. I think this is something really cool. Talked to my wife about it. We prayed on it. And I was like, man, I think this is something really unique. This brand has, scientifically backed ingredients. They're scientifically proven through 6 university studies. I'm like, there's nothing really like that in the industry. I think we could do something with something that's brand new and again, different.
Yeah. Now, were you worried though that if you quit, he was going to kick you off his couch, or had you already moved on?
Oh no, I'd already moved. Good point. Probably shouldn't talk about that. I did move, to my first condo with actually 2 other guys that worked at BSN at the time. So that was like a huge blessing too. And then at this time, leaving Glambia, I was living with Danielle. We had a place in Boynton Beach, and I saw this opportunity with Celsius, and I jumped on it and came on board at Celsius.
What year was that?
This was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right at 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I came on board again as employee one of 20, and my peers at Glambia, the corporate company, kind of smirked and laughed at me, and they said, "What are you doing, man? Like, you have this awesome corporate job right now. You can cruise. What are you doing leaving for a brand that no one knows about? This little drink called Celsius. What is this?
Yeah.
This is wild." And I said, "Hey man, I see something with it. I'm gonna shoot for it."
Yeah, so, and it's obviously like a very gratifying story in hindsight for you to look back on, but
at the time,
nobody knew who Celsius was, right? And you had to go into it like you had a confidence, but you didn't know.
No.
Like it absolutely could have been you coming back with your tail between your legs in a year, saying like, "Hey, can I have my job back?"
Of course,
right?
Yeah, that weighed on me a lot early on.
Sure,
it was like, what if this thing fails? What am I going to do? Am I going to be a failure? My name's now attached to this brand called Celsius, and everyone in our industry knew that was it. And it was a grind because remember at the beginning, no one knew what it was. So it was a hardcore sell to get it in, to distribution, to get it into retail, to get into all these places, to market it.
I told you the story earlier. I saw you for years posting things. So like you at different race events. I know that was a big channel for you guys for marketing. And I would see it, but I never saw it in stores. And I remember the day I walked into like a Bell store and I saw a Celsius section. I was like, that's Bryan's brand. I'm like grabbing a couple of them and taking them home. And I was like, that's so cool. Like I know him.
That was kind of the aha moment for sure when people locally like you or, they'd reach out and be like, dude, it's at this grocery store. It's at Speedway. Or
like once we got it in Dover, I assume it's everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, Dover's not usually a key market that
we're not an early adopter. Yeah, they don't usually press like on the edges of Amish country for,
Right. I actually did see it in Amish country though, which was awesome.
Oh, they probably,
cool.
They probably
was there.
chug it down and plow 40 acres, man.
It was wild. So, so I got laughed at, came to Celsius. It was this whole thing. And grew it to, again, when I retired in October of last year from there, about 10 years later. And it was my decision to move on. And again, we got very similar. We're growing so fast that when I left, we had 1,500 employees.
Yeah.
So when you talk about back to that corporate model, I saw we were quickly going to that corporate structure, which again, you kind of need to be, right? You have to be corporate structure driven at that many employees to keep the ship together. Right. Like everyone on the ship has a goal and they got to kind of be in their box. And I saw the box kind of shrinking down for me. And I was like, you know what? This is a good time to move on. I have 2 young kids and I was like, I just want to spend more time with my kids and do something cool. Maybe we can do some investing and do more real estate investing and stuff like that, which we've already done. Maybe just consult for some other brands. And then VALR happened to pop up. So I quickly learned that retirement wasn't for me because I was going to stir crazy.
Yeah, not at 42.
Yeah, 42.
You're not ready for that.
And I was like, what could I do? Could I just invest? Can I maybe start? I wanted to actually start something locally here in Dover, and just focus my time and effort on something where my hometown where I grew up, and it still is one of my goals.
That's what I decided to do. It's a blast. You want to come join us?
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely want to look into that, investment opportunity of some sort, even just to give it back a little bit more. I think this is a cool area. We could make it cooler.
Yeah, so for sure.
Make Dover cool again, maybe. So I think the mayor's doing a great job too. I got to give him a shout out. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's awesome. Cool story on him. Just since you hit on it real quick, I was driving past some kids playing in the sprinkler 2 days ago. And we have a pool at our house, and I was watching Ring videos pop up of like all these kids in my neighborhood playing in our pool at home. And I watched these kids playing the sprinkler. I'm like, man, that sucks. Not every kid has a pool they can go to. And while, Dover pool's like $3 or $4 to get into, not every kid can do that. Or if you got 3 kids, you might have to wait. I called Mayor Gano. I said, hey, I got this idea. What if we help to get every kid that, wants to go to the pool over the next few days, because it's supposed to be the 3 hottest days of the summer so far, into the pool. And Mayor Gano literally answered the phone from the beach. He's on his family vacation at the beach. And he's like, I love it. Yeah, what do we got to do to make it happen? I was like, just like send me a bill, track him. He's like, we'll increase staffing at the pools. We'll do this.
Great.
Like literally over one phone call, we had this thing put together, a flyer out promoting it within 30 minutes. So yeah, kudos to him. And it's awesome to live in a community where I can call the mayor he was my son's Royal Knight this year in basketball.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's just funny to see how it comes full circle. We go from playing basketball or football together 30 years ago to now, having this business relationship and helping drive the community. It's probably what I love the most about living in a small area like this.
Right.
Thought that was a cool story. Thought I'd give Mayor Gano a shout out there.
Yeah,
So sorry to interrupt.
No, for sure. It's awesome. I think he's doing a fantastic job and love the newness that he's trying to bring, So
Yeah.
that also sparks me to say, I kind of want to invest locally here, do something, right? So that's still kind of to be determined. But then the owner and founder of VALR, I connected with him about a year ago, actually. And I was still at Celsius. And we were just talking about, this product he had about being very unique and different. And of course, my entrepreneurial brain, sparked interest because I saw unique and different. I'm like, wait, what do you got going on? so I was
Can't help yourself.
I know, I can't.
You had been out of it for like 2 months?
Yeah, I think I was retired for, what was it? Maybe 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, 65 days maybe or something like that. But I was
surprised it lasted that long.
I know, I was going crazy because I was telling you the story earlier, but I was literally like, everyone says, oh, retirement's going to be so cool. And when you go from doing all this work to then like zero, nothing.
Yeah.
I was walking around my house and my wife is like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Like I should be doing like 18 different things at once. My priority list was always crazy. And you go from nothing. I'm like, I feel like I'm literally like losing my mind.
What's funny, because life's about balance. So you feel like, the number one spot you should always be is with your wife and kids. But I also don't think any marriage is built to withstand a couple being together 24 hours a day.
Right.
It's just, she'll
good. She'll definitely add to that.
She'll attest to that.
Yeah.
And no dad needs to be around his kids 24 hours a day either, because that's when you always love them, but you might start not always liking them. So,
right, exactly.
So there's a reason why work is good, right?
Yep.
And it's also good for those kids to get to see their dad work really hard and grind and build something too.
Exactly. And they're learning. They're still young, but they're learning.
They're watching.
Like, why do you have to work so much? I'm like, would you like these nice things? These are, we don't get this stuff unless I work. So
right.
We're trying to instill that on them a little bit more when they, get a little older.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah. So the owner, again, contacted me again, and we tried to figure out what we could do with the brand. And he was like, let's do something together. So here we are with the product. I told him that we need to rebrand it. We need to change the flavor a little bit. And then we need to make this not just an energy drink. We need to make it a whole sports nutrition, brand.
Yeah.
So when I first came on board, it was called VALR Energy. And then we quickly changed it to VALR Brand as the brand name. And then VALR Energy as the can is one of the products. Yeah, one of the products which we have now. And then VALR Brand will consist of anything else that we launch. I mean, we're working on crazy technology right now. We have a chief science officer from Garden of Life, which is a major company owned by Nestle. And his science brain and my science sports nutrition brain, like we geek out on ingredients. It's fantastic. Like every Friday we have a call. We just geek out on what innovation can we come up with. Let's look at studies. Let's look at science.
I'm like envisioning you like climbing the Himalayan mountains to look for a rare species of leaf that grows there only.
Let's use this. Let's use this extract. So it's really cool. So we're literally launching. We're in the works right now of launching Labor Day, very unique creatine plus powder. So creatine's becoming very popular, both male, female, young, old. And we're going to be launching that. So I'm super, super stoked about launching.
What's funny, so creatine was one of those things, was almost viewed as like a negative, like, oh, it's a steroid type stigma with it, right? And then
played, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't allowed taking creatine.
No, creatine was a big no-no. Like, oh, it can hurt all these things. But now we're being told the exact opposite. Like even I put in ChatGPT probably a year ago when I started focusing more on my fitness and trying to get back to like, I just didn't want to think my best fitness days were behind me. So I really started putting effort into it. And one of the first suggestions it recommended was creatine. I was like, creatine for an old man? Like, surely not. Like joints, brain, mental cognition, clarity, like good for all that stuff. I'm like, oh, I definitely need that because my mind's not where it was 10 years ago, right? And I don't wake up with that same energy. So I'm a huge believer in creatine.
Yeah, the list goes on, and the studies are there to back it up. So it's not just pixie dust in a product. So we have something very unique where it's a creatine plus a glutamine product. So we have kind of some immune support, help with gut health with it too. Your daily dose of vitamin D3 is in there. So for us, up here in the north, the wintertime, that's going to be a good one. So I'm very, very excited about that. So
all right, I look forward. Give me on the early distribution list for that one.
I'll hook you guys up. We'll have to throw a bottle here when we get it.
Perfect.
But so that's where the product came from, and then this is the rebrand. This is everything that we kind of rebranded with the whole product, and
so this is off and running. This is one of the fanciest cans I've seen. So tell us a little bit. I'll give you your commercial for a minute. We got to plug this product because this is a pretty cool. And I've been sipping on my my orange cream with real fruit right here. But tell us a little bit about what it is and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So again, totally unique and different, right? So it's not your typical energy drink by any means. It contains real fruit. It's nitrogen infused. So our pitch is usually nitrogen infused functional energy. So it has a widget in the bottom of the can that has that picture on the back there, that when you crack open the can, it depressurizes the can, which releases the nitrogen gas in the bottom of the widget, mixing all of the liquid together and all the active ingredients. So by doing so, it creates a foamy, frothy texture, almost like a Guinness or a beer.
Yeah.
So if you were to pour it out into a glass, you'll see like the foam kind of rise to the top.
It's almost got like that dirty soda vibe type thing going on
very
right
similar,
now, but obviously tastes
But
clean
cleaner.
and
Yeah,
doesn't
but
contain
clean,
any
yes.
of those things. Yeah.
Not 1 million grams of sugar.
You're correct. Yeah.
So,
So hardly any sugar,
no, the
right?
sugar just comes from the real fruit. So there's no colors or dyes in there.
Zero added sugars, only 4 grams of natural sugars.
Right. So the sugar is coming from the fruit itself. So it's very much like a smoothie in a can. So real fruit smoothie in a can with some intentional ingredients we added in there, like huperzine for mood and mental focus, right? The caffeine is actually coming just from green tea. So there's no synthetic caffeine. So 175 mgs of caffeine's in there. And then one of my favorite ingredients is rhodiola rosea, which is something that can actually help you lower cortisol levels.
Oh,
and
nice.
bring like your body back to homeostasis, which is your normal state it's supposed to be. So
Which cortisol, a huge deal for guys as they age, right? Cortisol is what
And women.
helps you store stubborn fat,
Yes.
impacts mood, energy,
Right.
metabolism, all those things.
correct. So it's a very well groomed product. So when I tried it and I saw this profile, I was like, oh man, if we can make this taste a little bit better and make it look the packaging better and then tweak the logo a little bit, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah,
and
well,
we are. So
we were passing them out here, and everybody seems
Yeah.
to love it so far. And this is a pretty honest group, so I think they would tell
Yes.
you like, I don't love it, but
and very
everybody
similar to
does.
Celsius, making that risk to this.
Yeah,
This is the same thing. This is still a risk, right? I've now stapled my name to this brand now. So and when I saw the press release they put out and Yahoo Finance picked it up, like former Celsius executive goes to VALR.
I saw it.
oh.
Yeah,
It's like, oh shit, this is like for real now. Like I can't lose. It was almost like extra pressure.
nobody
on me.
knew about it until then,
No.
right?
Right? Yeah, it was extra pressure on me, and I was like, oh man, here we go. But it gave me the similar feeling that I had when I went to Celsius from Glambia. No one knew what the brand was. We had to rebrand it. We reflavored it at Celsius when I got there in 2016. So very similar approach to what we're doing here. The only difference is we're bolting on a sports nutrition line and some other novel ingredients into some unique usage occasions, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That I think that we'll be able to really come out of the gate and always be different. And then that innovation, never duplication is going to be a really big component to this brand so that we're not always chasing what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like we're launching a creatine. Everybody has a creatine, but we're doing something totally different, unique, and it's tasting way better than anything on the market.
Well, I love it. And I'm sure it's occurred to you because you're the one living this right now, but it's kind of a fusion of your BSN days
Right,
with now
right.
your Celsius days. Let's take the best components of both
Exactly.
and try to combine. And I have no
Yes,
doubt you'll be
yeah.
successful because the same thing that you look for when you're hiring, that passion is what I see in you. And I'm sure your team just gets fired up on that,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
it's going to be good. And it's a great product. So
Right.
one of the first things you got to do is have a great product.
And honestly, we're only a month and a half into to distribution with the fitness and vitamin specialty channel. So we're still very early in the game, but the reorder is already there. People are loving it.
Where can
Feedback's
people get it?
awesome. So they can literally ask their gym for it.
Okay.
Any gym in America can order it from a fitness distributor.
Okay.
So
Can they order it online anywhere
Yeah,
yet?
you can order it. Also, you can go to valorbrand.com. You can
VALR.
Yep.
valorbrand.com. Put your order in there, sign
Yep.
up for probably auto
You
replenishment.
can actually
those
use my
kind of things.
discount code if you want. This is personal. I'm giving this out to anybody. BA. So BA, Bryan Alesiano, BA. That's it. You'll get 40% off a case.
Holy cow.
So,
All right.
there you
40% off BA valorbrands.com.
Valor Brand.
Valor brand, singular, not
Yep.
plural.
Yep.
And get your order in there. What about you guys eventually going to try to get it on Amazon?
We're
and
on
stuff?
Amazon. We're on GovX as well, so we support military. So the focus with this brand really is to be in the fitness, vitamin specialty, and military channels is our main strategy for this brand. So we really want to hone in on that core consumer, build an emotional connection with those core consumers in the fitness, vitamin specialty, and military. And we have a lot of initiatives too where we give back to the military. So
Fantastic.
working on some cool projects there, and more to come.
Love that. So give it a try. Go on there, put those codes in. That'll provide you guys with the fuel to be able to continue to do more great things and help with this brand. And you can tell everyone that you were one of the early triers of the Valor brand. So I got a couple other questions for you.
Yeah.
Back to, I'm going to bounce around a little bit, so stick
course.
with me. That's just the way my mind works, but yours probably is somewhat similar. So I think you can hang. Early days of Celsius. I know you said one of the kind of epiphany moments was when people back in your hometown started saying, I'm seeing your brand on the shelf. But what were some of the other moments leading up to that where you started realizing like, this might be huge. This might be like, give me the opportunity to retire at 42.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the biggest one was when we went on Wall Street as a ticker symbol, CELH. So we went on NASDAQ. And at the time, I think it was trading at like, we got on at $5. And I remember everyone kind of freaking out because it was like, man, we could be delisted if this thing tanks.
Goes too low, right? Yes. So many consecutive weeks, they take you right out.
So that was, again, was a major move, but also a big risk, right? So we went on NASDAQ. And then when the stock just started catapulting, literally, we were crushing quarter after quarter, triple digit growth. I mean, these press releases were coming out. That really helped us to really catapult the brand. And when I saw the stats of us being the second fastest growing brand on NASDAQ. And
holy cow.
Behind us in third place was Tesla. Celsius was second, and then a pharmaceutical company was first. So you can't compete with pharmaceutical.
You were outgrowing Elon?
Yeah, at a time. Like, it was the fastest growing stock in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, I think he's got you right now based on what's happened the last couple months, right?
Yeah, for sure. But at the time, I was like, man, this is a major stat.
Yeah, that's insane.
So that was definitely one key moment. The second one was COVID happened. So in the midst of COVID, let's all think about how crazy it was. 2020,
yeah,
COVID came about. No one knew what the hell's going on in the world. We didn't know what to think. And we were like, hey, we're about to launch this flavor called Peach Vibe. And we decided to still continue to launch it in the midst of COVID when no one could even leave their house. And we said, hey, we're gonna put this out there and make it like a happy moment. Everyone's down in the dumps because of COVID.
Still one of my favorite flavors, by the way.
Right? It still's number one, actually, to this day.
You put peach flavor in anything, I'm going to drink it.
When I left, Peach Vibe and Orange were still the two top flavors.
The base orange?
Yep, the OG orange, yeah.
No kidding.
Which is funny because Orange VALR is trending number one, too. So
yeah, it's still, that's the one I'm going with. It's like a morning mimosa.
Yeah, it's like a orange dreamsicle or something with the cream in it. So
kind of a dreamsicle vibe. I like that it's not heavy carbonated, and I like the fact that like I'm drinking it and I don't feel, you mentioned earlier, like the lack of bloating and whatnot. Sometimes when you drink an energy drink, you start to feel that fizz building up inside of you.
Definitely train on it. See how you feel working out on it, because the power lifters love it.
Well, I think we're going to go get a lift in after this, right? We got a gym next door for all the coworkers.
Yeah,
so yeah,
I love that. That's awesome. That's really cool to have. So, remind me, sorry, what we were.
So you launched Peach. It's huge flavor. You start realizing early COVID days, like maybe something else is.
Yeah. So in the midst of COVID, it was 2020. We still went with Peach Vibe, and it was, we're going to make this happy product, and we did it. And all we could really do is any kind of .com, right? Because no one was going in stores.
Right.
So we launched it on all these .coms. We started doing digital marketing with it and some ad spend, a little more than what we did normally. And then we saw the growth of that. And I'm like, oh man, like I feel like COVID almost helped the brand because everyone was freaking out about health.
Yeah.
People were dying and they didn't know what the heck was going on. They're like, well, I need to make a life change. And maybe there could be the most obese person in the world. And because they drank 1 Celsius a day, that was the one thing that maybe they did to start living a healthier lifestyle.
Rather than slugging down another Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew.
Yeah. So you didn't need to be like a gym rat or anything to consume this, or a bodybuilder, right? It could be anybody. And it was kind of that energy for everyone mindset and a better for you type of product that had all the vitamins in it and had everything like that. So that, I think also when I saw that catapult, I was like, okay, we definitely got something good here that we're cooking with gas now. Right?
Yeah.
Like we're cruising. So those two moments were probably a big thing where I was like, we're here, but then how can you continue to scale, right? Just because you got a couple big wins under your belt and you just beat Elon in the shortest amount of time on Wall Street doesn't mean your brand is going to be retirement level.
And quite frankly, what starts to happen is the bullseye on your back begins to grow as well. So with additional publicity becomes other people saying like, wait a minute, if they could do it, we can too. How do we get into it? And it's only a matter of time before the people who admired you and got into it because they saw what you did they start gunning for you. Like, hey, I want to take them down, right?
I know.
So it becomes a challenge.
It's funny, the other brands that talk smack about you when you're little, now all of a sudden they try to, we call it the Me Too effect.
Yeah, they emulate you.
So they're like, okay, they're winning with this flavor. Let's do a Me Too flavor. We're going to do them, but spin it, slightly different.
Or they start mimicking your branding. All of a sudden you see the color of their can changes, right? Like,
yeah. We were known at Celsius for having big pictures of fruit and combinations. That was kind of the thing too. That was one of the strategies we came up with, because if I were to tell you like, here's a grape, just a grape only flavor, you already think in your head what grape probably tastes like.
Right.
But if I gave you a strawberry guava, you're like,
no idea.
I never had a strawberry guava before. Let me try that. And you try it and you're like, man, this tastes pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So other brands we started seeing doing big fruit pictures and combinations. And we're like, okay, like,
Where'd you guys come up with that?
yeah, I know.
And I know they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I agree. And Chad and I have always been big on like, we'll share anything. Like we have no secrets because we believe in elevating the industry and this thing called like giver's gain. Right. But at the same time, when people are constantly taking your ideas, at some point you're like, dang it, that was a really good, creative, novel idea. And you did nothing. You just took it and ran with it. And and sometimes, I hate to say, sometimes they even take your ideas and do them better than you. And you're like, darn it.
Well, in the service industry, you got to beat on that, right? Like your pride is on service. So if you can out-service people and they feel, again, a customer can feel the passion too. So that's a big deal. With Celsius, they felt emotionally attached to that brand. If your customers feel emotionally attached to your service level, you could give away all your secrets. But if they're like, nope, these are my guys, this is my brand, this is my service, these are the service level that I demand and I respect, then they're not going anywhere.
Well, and you've seen it because you wouldn't have had the sustained success you've had without it. But people want to know the secrets, but their ability to execute on them and to stay consistent with executing on them usually isn't there. Right. So I can, we have a lot of people in our industry, and I'm sure you've seen it too, people who want to pick your brain and ask how you got there, right? They have great ambition. They're very creative. They're visionaries, but they don't realize just how much hard work it takes. Right. So I have a story similar to yours. When I started at Xerox Corporation before I got promoted to vice president, right? Like I was out knocking on doors in Amish country. You want a tough pitch? Try selling tech in Amish country, right? Where
Did
people
you learn
are
Dutch?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I learned how to say certain things in Dutch, right? Right. So, and I still pick myself like saying like, oh, like they're always notorious for saying you don't say, and I like started saying that for some reason, like, oh, you don't say. My wife's like, where'd you come up with that one? But like that grind that's there is what's missing for a lot of people. So they try it really hard for 2 weeks. It's no different than working out, right? Like I tried eating healthy and working out really hard for 2 weeks and it didn't work. So I'm going to go back to pizza and beer and bad habits. Like it requires ongoing, sustained consistency to see those positive results. And if you think it's hard in fitness, then you definitely aren't cut out for it in business, because business can be way harder. Because if you eat less, work out more, control your diet, you're going to lose weight. You're going to be more fit. Guaranteed, right? You've been in business long enough to know, can I do everything right and it still not work out?
Right.
100%. So you're like, I don't get it.
Right.
It was all there. All the beta testing was there. We did the sampling. We did all this. It was all there. And still, like, did you guys ever launch a flavor that sucked and failed? Or were they all pretty good?
I would say some flavors at Celsius weren't the best.
Maybe you guys didn't. They didn't meet expectations or things like that.
I'd say later on.
Yeah.
Now, early on, I think we were really, really hard on launching flavors that were going to be winners.
Okay.
That they weren't going to be, they weren't going to be flop.
Did you ever hire someone and feel like this guy's an absolute grand slam home run, whatever, and he doesn't work out, or she doesn't work out?
Yeah. Also later on. So again, as the company gets bigger, start taking chances on people because you need to fill seats,
right?
And you need jobs filled. And again, still trying to hire in passion. People can interview pretty dang well.
Well, they take college classes now to learn how to interview. I found out. So yeah, that helps to deceive.
But they interview like, oh, they're just the best thing since sliced bread. Like, bring me on, I'll show you. And then they show up and they just don't excel. And they quickly get ran over because the rest of the team is going to outshine them. And we don't even need to fire anybody, honestly.
That's the sign of a good team.
Yeah.
We very rarely have to let anybody go.
It's almost like I can't survive in this environment. Everyone's, running circles around me. I feel dumb. I'm out.
Right.
And they leave.
And that's a sign of a great culture.
Is that cool?
That's a sign of a great culture. You're not comfortable being an unmotivated person around a group of really motivated people, right?
That was a big thing for me early on at Celsius too, with building a team. My team, I was always a work hard, play hard mentality. I was like, look, I'm not a micromanager. I never want to be. I never probably will be. So the only way I would micromanage someone is if I really knew that they were, like trying to jeopardize the business in a negative light, and then I got to get in, right? That's the only way. But I'm like, look, I hired you to do a job. You own the area of business that I hired you to do. So look at like your role as almost like you bought into a franchise version, a segment of Celsius that you own, and that's your business. I'll give you all the tools to win. I'm like the franchise corporate executive, right?
Yeah.
But this is your franchise model that you own, you run. And the minute that you need help, you call me. But you're good to go. It's a hands-off type of approach, right? I'm not going to be, down your back and, all over you. And that's what worked. People will respect that. But it's a work hard, play hard. So when everybody works hard, then we do cool, fun, team building things, and we get after it. And we have fun.
Work hard, play hard. I love that.
You gotta have fun. You gotta have fun. You can't just demand all this work and great job hitting triple digit growth, and then high five them, and then okay, back to the next month.
Yeah.
Like you gotta really. I mean, they're human beings. You gotta do more than just pat them on the back, and that's what I did. I really try to take care of them.
We do a huge rewards trip here every year. So it's something I learned at Xerox, and we take 100 people plus their spouse, significant other every year to some tropical location. I got to see the world on Xerox time, which was amazing. I'll forever be grateful for that. But that was one of the first things we do in the trades. And that's unheard of in this industry, right? So first year we took the comfort advisors, the sales guys. Second year we started taking some service technicians, then installers, then office admin. And last year we took like 40 some couples in the trades to, I think we did Dominican Republic last year for 5 nights, all inclusive, paid for by us, round trip transportation, everything. It's unbelievable. The culture it builds.
They got to be so appreciative. Right?
They're extremely grateful. And here's the thing, like I'm going to get to know you while working with you every day, but I'm not going to get to know Danielle, and my wife's not going to get to know her. So getting that grace within each other by going on these trips, and like my wife laying next to your wife on the beach for the day and talking about the kids. Like now the day that I was maybe a little too hard on you and you go home and say like, hey, I don't know if this is all working out. She's going to be like, oh no, but I love Danielle and Steve's great. Yeah, yeah. We got that trip coming up. Like sometimes you need that little bit of grace, you know what I mean? Because we all don't have our best days, but all those things contribute to culture. We just had our quarterly breakfast. We have it every quarter without fail. This is our extremely busy season. It's going to be 96 here today. Easiest thing to do would be say, scrap it, just get to work. Right. Nope. We pulled our entire team out of the field this morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Had a breakfast, celebrated, gave away thousands of dollars in gift cards to them to celebrate good performances, did shout outs, gave out a pack of Zach Brown tickets on a drawing, like celebrated them. And I told them at the end of the meeting, and I think you'll appreciate this, Brian, like we talk a lot about culture in our company, but Chad and I, as the owners of the company, we don't get to dictate the culture. And we just got done doing our shout outs where they get to scan a QR code and shout out a coworker who did something great during the last quarter, right? And I said, that's everything that I just read, all these things, that's what dictates our culture. You guys getting to go the extra mile for a customer, getting to go the extra mile for each other, doing the things that aren't even expected when no one's looking. That is our culture. And that's you guys. Chad and I don't get to dictate that. That's 100% you guys, right? Yeah, and it's so huge. And I'm sure that you got to experience that during those years of growth. And I think that's probably part of the reason why it became easier to move on to the next thing, because maybe you were lacking some of that towards the end of some of those tenures with some of those companies. But talk about that for a minute, because I think that's something that a lot of executives wish they could just stand up and say, our culture is good. This is what we do. And it was so. But you've been in it. Yeah. It's not that easy, right?
Well, to your point, there's business owners that want that.
Yeah.
And they want everyone to think that way, but they don't do the things that need to happen.
And you can't browbeat that into people. You can't say, no, I have a good culture, Brian. Yeah. Damn it. Stop being so negative. It's a great culture. We all need to be passionate. We all need to do this. But, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. You're providing, I always call it a carrot. So you have to provide a big enough carrot for passionate people to stay and chase. So if the carrot is too small and you're like, well, I'm just making a salary and I'm over here busting my ass and nothing's happening and they're not recognizing me, like, why would I stay? I could go do this on my own, or I can go find another company that's really going to appreciate me for my work. And that's how I like to manage and build a culture, is that you find those people that are passionate, check, right? You find the hard workers, check. You teach them their job. You teach them all the things they need to do. You don't micromanage them. You give them the vision.
Yep. You lead by example. You show them the way. You show them all the crap you do on your side that you're like, look what I'm blocking from you.
Right. Right.
If you guys, you give them like I guess I would give them a peek under the tent every now and then.
And by the way, I want to elaborate on that, because that's a great one you just hit on, Brian. When you say like, I show them the stuff I'm blocking from you, you don't show them that to build yourself up. It's like, look at how you do that to show them the way that you support them. Hey, look what I'm blocking for you so that you can go excel, right? Like I'm holding back the weight of the world right now so that you don't have to deal with that. So you can go execute really at a high level, right?
Correct. That's part of giving them the tools to succeed.
Right. Yeah. They can't do that if they're constantly dealing with all the other crap.
And my team always knew that I don't need my name in lights. I don't need a shout out. I don't need an attaboy. I don't need a high five. Right. I like seeing them win. Right. Yeah. And it's the same for local business people also, like you, I love hearing their story and seeing the success. And I get down when people talk, especially locally, that, oh yeah, my life sucks. I'm working this 9 to 5. I got 3 kids, I'm poor. It's like, wait a minute. Like, what can I do to help you get out of that rut? Or you made a choice to be in that position. Let's alter that a little bit.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? This is just the way my mind works. I don't know if yours works this way. Everything you just told me. So you just said like, oh, I have 3, my 3 kids. Think about if you just put a different perspective on that, everything you just said, like, I have a job is what I just heard. Great. A lot of people don't have jobs or don't have reliable jobs, right? Maybe they're constantly laid off or whatever. You have 3 kids. You know how many people are trying to have kids? Your kids are healthy, right? Like sometimes it's not saying like, oh, this is what I have or what I've been stuck with, but saying like, this is what I get. This is a blessing. Like not what I have to do today. This is what I get to do today type mentality, right? So like that same example of that person you just mentioned, like that person sounds pretty blessed to me. Like the only negative is they don't have as much money as they want. Well, there's tons of money being printed every day. Go get some.
Right. So it's like find the good.
Right.
Always find the good. Back to my story of me living on an air mattress. Even though I was down, I still found the good because I still wanted to continue to excel. And I'm like, I'm not going to fail. I'm wired to, whatever it takes. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to fail. So that's something that I like to help out with people locally and almost make them think more positive of themselves. To your point, you are good. You have healthy kids. You have a wife. You have a house. You have a car. You have things that some people don't have,
right,
at all, and they would dream for those things.
And you're alive, so you're here,
right, yeah.
So look at every day as a blessing. So I got another question for you. When you think about, there's multiple things you just said. You talked about building the team, how you don't need your name on lights, how you block for the people behind you. You know where my mind starts to go. Back to 2001, 2002, being a football player, playing for a coach that instilled those values in us. I love hiring military. I love hiring athletes, especially if they play for good coaches and have good leaders. How much do you attribute to that just being programmed into you at an early age and just being part of your DNA?
Yeah, a lot. We were talking earlier about talking to the Dover High School student body that I was invited to 2 years ago, and that was one of my messages was, learning. It wasn't just about playing football. It was what our coaches instilled on us every day about growing up and becoming a man and living your life, facing adversity, going through trials and tribulations, and how do you get out of it? You may not win every time, right? I'm hoping VALR is a success, but what if it isn't? Am I going to be torn apart and be done? Well, this is a chance I'm willing to take. It's the reason why we played football on Friday nights. We were expecting to win.
We didn't know the outcome,
but
though.
we didn't win every game.
Right. But we worked really hard to prepare and
right.
scout and make sure that we put our best foot forward.
Right. And when you get smacked in the face, you learn from that and you figure out what's it going to take to maybe not get smacked in the face next time. Right.
Right.
So all those things, there's so many stories I could go on about just like learning about the sport of football and how hard it is and all that. I even talked to the kids about, you may not even know this. When I was a sophomore, I wanted to quit. And back then, our head coach wanted, if you wanted to quit, you had to be a man and you had to go into his office and tell him face to face you wanted to quit. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. It was like the first week of camp, and I was like, I'm not going to play. I'm a sophomore. We had like 98 kids on our roster. I'm like, I wasn't in shape at the time at all. It was very hard for me running and doing all that stuff in the heat. And I was just, young kid and probably weak, and it was too hard. So I wanted to quit. You
got bigger cojones than me. I don't think I ever could have walked into Dan If's office. He was like a big, tall, intimidating dude.
Yes, I know. He was. And look up to him so much still to this day for the stuff he did for me. But, because I wasn't the best kid. I wasn't, whatever. But at the time, I walked in there and I said, hey, I want to quit. And he wouldn't let me. And I think he gave me, he goes,
just like, no, rejected.
Yeah.
Get back to practice.
Denied. No, I think he gave me like a day off. He's like, I tell you what, I'll give you tomorrow off to think about it. You come if that's really what you want to do, come back and tell me the next day. Come in my office and be a man and tell me that you want to quit. And I was like, okay. And that day off was the worst day probably of my life because I knew that all of my
friends,
colleagues, my troops, right? Like the people we go to battle with are out there doing a 2-a-day or doing a camp, and I hear the whistle blowing. I live so close to the
you're right there.
Yeah, I hear the whistle. I'm like, I should be there, and I'm not. And I felt like I let everybody down, and I'm including myself.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, you can do this. This isn't that hard, right? And thank God that he did that because I came back and I was like, I'm not quitting, and I'm all in. And I was all in from that point on. And
It's like you got a little sample of what it was, what it meant to quit.
Right.
Like the mentality of a quitter. You're like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Just figure it out. Figure out a way to be better yourself. And if something is hard, figure out how, life sometimes is supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
So you can learn from it. So kudos to him for that, because man, the life lessons I learned in the sport of football is so critical. I wish more kids played football.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that there's not, because the life lessons there, I think, and I'm biased by football, but I'm sure you get it from other sports.
Yeah, I grew up playing all the team sports. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's just that mentality of like every day you don't want to wake up at 6.
Right.
But I have to.
Yeah, iron before dawn, right?
I have
That's what
to.
we did.
Yeah, I don't want to ride that 1.5 hour bus ride. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to have to go back out. I don't want to put on a wet jersey. I don't want to have to. I mean, basketball was just as hard. Morning conditioning,
Right,
and especially we had the opportunity to play for legends in Dover. Guys who are like in Hall of Fames. Cool. So really great coaches who you had to respect growing up. You knew they knew the path because they had already had so much success.
Right.
So that gave you the trust to say I just got to listen and do it.
Yeah. But the sport of football, though, being a contact sport in high school,
it's physical.
A young man, right? It's physical. It's tough, but it teaches you so much. I feel like being that it's you're going to war.
Yeah.
You're going to war with another school basically every Friday night, and you're training for war, and just that mentality.
And you're always tired. You're always hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
There's always something hurting.
You got to fix yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be hurt. You got to play hurt. You got to figure out how to take care of your body. And again, that started instilling me in my passion on, kind of the better for you type of products, and being involved more in sports nutrition, being more involved with better for you drinks, and in the energy space that's not your traditional components.
Yeah, you definitely found a path that connects well with your passion. You can just tell that when you talk, and obviously the fact that you couldn't sit still for more than 90 days before you got right back into it tells you a lot. We talked before we started recording about it really worries me whether I'll ever be able to retire. My dad, I don't know if you knew this, he's retired 3 times now. And I think this time it'll stick. He's, almost 70, but that's whose DNA I have pumping through my veins. He financially could have retired way earlier and never had to go back to work, but it just wasn't in him. But I know you have side hustles like I do with real estate and stuff. So hopefully those will keep us distracted enough that eventually we can just not have to go to work every day. But I don't know what that day is going to feel like for me. So I know you're on a tight schedule. I do want to ask you one more question, because I know you are passionate about kids. You mentioned 2 years ago you had the opportunity to come speak to Dover High School. My son was there, came home and told me about how awesome it was. I think you have a great innate ability to connect to those youth. They see you as being someone that's relatable. When you see an executive standing up there in a full suit talking about his Harvard education, it's not always relatable to what every kid. And I think you are relatable as a guy who went to Dover, played sports, took some big risk, rose the challenge, slept on an air mattress. Like any kid sitting in a crowd can say well, I could do that. Right. And I think this is important too. When you were saying it earlier, I've thrown this out before, when we talk about college, if you have a surgery tomorrow, I'm sure you want someone with a college degree giving you that surgery, right?
Of course.
So there's a difference in saying hey, you didn't want to go to college to prove something. I wanted to go to college. And I don't know if you ever knew this, but I went to college because no man in my family had ever graduated from college. Oh, wow. A lot of women had, but no man ever had. My uncle, my dad, their dad. So for me, it was really important to become, and they wanted that for me. And it was important that I'd be able to do that. So, and I have no regrets with it. But obviously coming from the trades, the paradigm shifted, and a lot of successful people, most of the world's millionaires and billionaires were not college graduates, right? But there are certain trades. I don't want my taxes prepared by someone without a college degree. But when you talk about how that became such an important part of your journey, talk a little bit about that. Talk to today's youth. I know that's an important thing for you, being able to connect to them and inspire that next generation of leader, entrepreneur, visionary. Right. So talk a little bit about that college experience and what that meant to you and what kids can expect. Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier, I did the 2 years at Kent State for business. And I really wanted to prove that I could be successful without a college degree. That was just a random thing that I wanted to do in the back of my head. And it was probably strange to some people, but to your point, I mean, if you're going to school for law or medical, yes, makes 1,000% sense, right? If you watch podcasts from Gary Vee, I look up to him a lot. Actually, I put a clip of Gary Vee in my speech with the kids. Yeah, he gave me a shout out and talked to the kids, a little video clip. Cool. I think it was cool. And he's a super good dude. And one of the things he talks about a lot is just the return on investment from an investment perspective of yourself. If you don't know really what you're going to do in college, is it really worth it? And that's where I was. And I didn't even know Gary Vee at the time, but in my mind, I was thinking that way. And I'm I'm going to be in so much debt, and I'm going to get this piece of paper, and what's it going to be used for? Right. So, and now college is so expensive that you leave there and the job you get isn't even going to somewhat pay for not even half. So you're going to be in debt almost forever in this role. So in the back of my mind, I wanted to be successful and work at it as hard as I could without a college degree, and almost prove the old mantra that we mentioned earlier on the podcast, that when we went to school, we were kind of told, you either go to college or you're going to be like a loser.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, you don't want to be a loser. So I didn't want to be a loser. So we went to college, and I'm like, wait, there has to be something else. That's just crazy. Right. So I wanted to be successful at that. And I wanted to kind of instill that in the kids when I spoke to them, that don't think that you have to go to college just to, somewhat go down the successful path.
Yeah.
Look at other trades, look at all the vocational stuff that's out there. I mean, that's what's winning. AI can't really take over those, when you roll up your sleeves and actually do work, those are things that AI really can't do. Right.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
So
we've talked about that a lot in our industry.
That was kind of my message to them as well. And then obviously explaining my path. My path was different, but I wanted to instill that to my friends, family, whatever. That hey, I'll show you that I want to be successful without fully having a college degree.
Yeah,
So.
and I think the world's changed even since we forced that narrative was forced upon us. Where back then, YouTube was like a startup when we were in college. Like, I don't even know if it was out yet. Like, I don't remember using it. Do you?
Oh.
I remember in college more. And I remember like the day that Kent State became one of the colleges that Facebook added to their platform. So if you had a kent.edu email, you could actually get on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. But the world wasn't necessarily your oyster back then, the way that it is today. So I think the most important thing is that you constantly are seeking out information and seeking out skills and knowledge. And there's so many books. And if you want to know what book to read back when we were, growing up, and this shit makes it sound old, man, when I start talking like this. But I mean, the reality was, like, if you had a question about something, you couldn't pull out your phone and Google it. I remember going to the library in Dover High School and having to get an encyclopedia and hoping that was the most up-to-date version, because that was a 1998 encyclopedia.
Right.
Had this stuff changed in 5 years? Like,
It's wild. It's so true, though.
But today, everything is out there. So, podcasts, right? And TED Talks and books. And if you want to know what books to read, you just go into ChatGPT and type in, I'm trying to develop myself with my patience within business. What are the top 5 recommendations? Right. Boom, they're there. Dump them into your Amazon cart, have them delivered by 3:00 today. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much more out there. And I think that has somewhat, I don't want to say like eliminated the need for college, because we already acknowledge you need some college.
Yeah.
But do you agree with me that is so much more important, is having that focus and the ability and the willingness and the drive to go seek that information, rather than sit in a classroom and take a bunch of, what do they call those classes? The prerequisites that you're probably never going to need. Yeah. Right. I remember taking courses in college. Again, I just wanted that paper to prove that someone in my family that was a man could get it.
Right.
But a lot of the stuff I was taking class, I'm like, why do I ever need this? Like, nothing. I have no interest in this in my life.
Right.
I'm never going to do anything that involves this. So why do I need it? But because it was required to get that certificate, and conveniently enough, it required me to give them more money to get it. Right?
And I also think that a lot of kids go to college because they don't know what to do with their life, and they don't know what they're passionate about yet. So they go and they spend all this money getting a 4-year degree on whatever
to find out it was wrong.
Yeah, they find out, and they do something completely different. Yeah. Right. So they do something completely off the rails different, that it's like, well, I didn't even need this piece of paper. Yeah. So if you're really passionate about something and that requires further education, yes. But if you're not, that was my message. If you're not, don't just go blow a bunch of money and party out of college.
Yeah.
Right. You can still go party out of college.
You can go get a job and party. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to go spend all the money and be.
You've heard about the kids that did that?
What's that?
You've heard about the kids that didn't go to college that went and partied at the college?
Yeah, anybody can do that. So, yeah.
I'm saying you didn't do that, right?
No, not me. Never.
Of course not. And if, I think that's one thing that, you could take away from this podcast, Bryan, is like, you were a seeker of information. You attached yourself to people who did things that you were interested in doing, and you learned from them, and you were humble enough to know you didn't know it all when you were sleeping on the air mattress. And that's just such a novel concept, but that is a common theme among successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, managers, right? And so I think the message I would love for people to take away from this podcast is, like, you can't wait for someone to teach it in a classroom, right? Like, you got to go. You took a huge gamble, man. You got on an airplane and went somewhere you'd never been in your life, and you built a legacy for your family, right? You've created enough wealth that your family is probably going to be comfortable for many years. Right. Off of a gamble and no college degree. Like, that's a pretty incredible story, man.
Thank you.
Do you ever get to sit back and like really appreciate that?
I think the first aha moment for me was when I saw that Yahoo Finance article come out with my name in it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't need my name in lights. I don't need the likes or the, the shout out really. But when I saw that published and it was like, you know, Bryan Alesiano and like my picture and everything, I was like, oh man, this is a pretty big deal.
I'm on the radar.
Yeah, right. This was a big deal. But I will say when I did move, there were some people that I wanted to prove wrong that, you know, they had said kind of some hearsay. It was like, you know, everybody that leaves Tuscarawas County, they usually come back within like 2 years. And I was like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So that was my whole thing.
I came back in like 6. So
I mean, like come back because they failed at what they did, right?
Yeah.
You didn't fail. Come back because like
I wanted to raise a family here.
Yeah, but like you moved away, you moved back, and then like now you're living back in your parents' house because you failed at whatever you moved away for. That was what they were getting at to me. Like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, go to Florida. You're gonna fail. You'll be back.
Right.
And I'm like, no. So
yeah,
that was an extra drive for me. You know,
sure,
to prove them wrong. Not even like to go up and tell them, but just like in general in my head, I just
for them to know
what
you were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think our entire life is a culmination of like us either working hard to prove certain people right and prove other people wrong. Mm-hmm. There was, you know, I knew there were certain people that always had a fundamental belief that I could be successful. They saw something in me that at certain times I didn't even see in myself. And I really wanted to prove those people right. Yeah. And that kept me out of a lot of trouble. And, you know, my dad was one of those people for me, Bryan, like growing up, like you didn't see me at a lot of the parties. I never smoked weed in high school. A lot of people don't realize that. And we lived in a high school where a lot of people were. Mm-hmm. But I always wanted to prove my dad right. And I knew that like that was something that if he would have caught me doing that, I would have disappointed him. So, but then there were plenty of other people in my life who I was constantly trying to prove wrong. And believe me, I can be a vindictive SOB, man. Like if I'm trying to prove you wrong, it's probably going to motivate me a little bit more than the guy I'm trying to prove right. Unfortunately, it's like a character flaw.
Yeah, I know. Well, the biggest thing too, not just the naysayers, but, you know, proving my family that I could do something as well, right? I wanted to prove it for myself, but then show my family. I wanted to do something really cool that they would be like, man, I'm proud of this guy for doing that.
Yeah.
You know, that was a huge risk. You made it happen. Look what you built with nothing.
Yeah.
You know, an air mattress and a microwave.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Such an incredible story. Well, I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah,
I know that might not mean as much as mom and dad, but your mom's incredible, by the way. She, I told you the story earlier, but she took an early risk on me in business, bringing me into the city of Dover. And I'll forever be grateful to Sue for that. She's awesome.
Well, shout out to her too. I mean, a lot of people don't know this about me, but my parents got divorced when I was 2, and it was a rough go for me growing up.
Yeah,
you know?
always is.
My dad was a local police officer that everybody loved, right? And I had this different. It was a different home setting for me. My mom kind of had to be the mom and the dad a lot of times, and wasn't necessarily around. So it was a challenge for me to do that. So I have to really give a shout out to my mom for being the mom and the dad in a lot of instances. And what you just said, a lot of people say that same thing. They love her, and she's an awesome woman. Strong
females in our life, man. Right? I got the cherub angel near my heart on the inside of my bicep.
I'm
that
a mama's
represents,
boy for sure. So.
It's all the strong women. My mom, my aunts, my wife now, right? Like I've had so many incredible females in my life that have come in. I don't think the men would have been capable of doing it on their own. They always relied on brute strength. But for me, it took a little more heart, which is why that's there. So
that's awesome.
Awesome story, man. Like I said, I'm so proud of you. So proud to have you in my circle, and I love staying connected to you through some mutual friends. I don't get to see you often, obviously, because you're globe hopping and down in Florida most of the time. But we have some good mutual friends, so I'm always checking in, and love to see your success. I have zero doubt. So count me in the corner of people who you're going to be proving right when VALR blows up, and I start seeing it on the shelves of all the local Bell stores and speedways. But thank you for taking the time to come on today. I know you're getting ready to head back south, and I'm grateful for the time you gave us. Hopefully people find this episode beneficial. In the meantime, if you haven't yet, hit VALRbrand.com, 40% off with the coupon code BA. Get an order in, help support Bryan. He's going to do great things to help grow this organization through your support. Hopefully you guys benefited from this today. Until next time, thanks for joining us on One Tough Day.